This is really looking like 1994. Something about the graininess of this cam. And dark. It doesn't do night vision. Maybe I put this on, maybe I don't. Today I have written 3, 4, 5, 6,000 words. That's common. And they often don't go places. I journal for usually an hour in the morning. It's my sorting out life and part of my spiritual recovery work. And a lot of times it's concepts that I don't do anything about. I've been a bit gun-shy on sharing some things, but I felt it's mainly more important to just keep writing. One was about trust in societies, how I observe in the United States, again, the variance of distrust. And I recognize it in the individual self when I don't trust myself. And then families, how it affects families, how it affects countries, and then cultures, and then the world we live in. Income inequality or out of balance, which is usually in that case tied to economics, but it can be a variety of things, breeds distrust. The haves and the have-nots, there's a variety of reasons, but where there's trust, there's harmony. And I was writing about there was a lot about Scandinavia today. Something I read in Washington Post inspired me. It was a beautiful post. Somebody had been through Oslo and Bergen and London and back to Jersey, but it was nicely written about no billboards and no horns, and the conversation level that for us Americans is quite, it's different. We're a loud group, and part of that I'm proud of. In other parts, you just shake your head. I love the media's lack of control. I love that there's hardly any billboards. When you're trying to get to a meeting or something, it's quite hard because there's no signs anywhere. So it's very difficult in the beginning you get lost a lot. But once you get used to that, it's really refreshing. You forget what obnoxious billboards are like. You forget how tacky it is. You forget how much that has grown. And that's not the point of this. So yeah, I wrote. It's an anniversary day for me, and it means a lot to me still. So I processed that, and it was several thousand words. And then somebody sent something before I post this. I would get permission, but I won't disclose who it was. It was just really sweet, and I think that I can share this. Yeah, I won't share any of the personal stuff. It was just a nice gesture from somebody, an acquaintance that I hadn't spoken to in a year. This morning I was listening to a song that I'll attach below and thought of how you might be able to put words and experience to what I was feeling and deeply needing in my own life due to current circumstances. God, Spirit, Source, the Force, as I like to call it, up the ante by reminding me that you are a writer. I thank her for that. An expressed soul experiences so well. The need is great in the world to know that we are not alone as individuals. So on your hikes or during all of your emotional processing and throughout your new leg of the journey, have you discovered the invisible yet tangible knowing that you are not alone? This is in Genesis. Is it truly found in the stillness? Is it within and outside of ourselves? We may have different spiritual backgrounds or approaches, but I'm speaking of the not alone that transcends religions and cultures. That spark, that knowing. So as I was listening today, I felt a deep prompting to tell you that your journey and your honesty is healing to those that are following it too. I guess I just felt a prompting that you have traveled a little farther into the mystic lately, and if you ever feel prompted and ready, maybe you could write about not alone in your blog to provide a flashlight or reassurance. I hope I'm making sense. I just feel some amazing things happen in the silence of your quest. some for you alone, and some to share the light. So again, I won't post this without permission. The song was I'm Not Alone by Carrie Job, which I would suppose is a Christian singer. And what I've written in the blog above, so when I post this, is a year ago, that song would have almost annoyed me. Different phases of my life when I've been more uncomfortable with who I am, I would find reasons for a lot of things outside of me to be annoying. A lot of you annoyed me. And I've tried to admit that to the best of my ability. That's always just a projection of me. I think, I believe that to be true. I mean, that's why I love Buddhism. That's why I love the teachings of Jesus. That's why I love recovery. That's my mother. Gonna come visit in a month. Maybe. Hope that's okay to say. That's why I love spiritual recovery. That's why I love the path that I'm on. Because Carl Jung would say, Jungian philosophy or anything, that whatever is disturbed in me, I will see in you. So if I've ever felt disturbed about the world at large, and trust me, I've been, as I said, I've been disturbed by a lot of people. Part of our process is actually writing those down. I'm actually in that phase and assessing why people and situations have annoyed me. What in me is really the root of it. And then you work through a series of processes that lead to fear or aspects of our own psyche that are tied to something deeper. It's never, I think most of us on any spiritual path would agree, it's never about the other people. I always know that on the other side of a circumstance, even if I've been angry and lashed out or said something that I didn't mean, because anger is hurt and scared and fear is still tied to, well, it's a very real emotion. I think fear is at the root of most things. That's why on our path it's about facing fear. Always my guide, I say guide, my friend, my mentor. The question is, if I pose two things, which one are you more afraid to do? Then you do the one you're most afraid to. Our path is about continuing to face fear, as he gave an example today in his own journey, I'll say nothing about. But powerful to me. I'm like, damn, you are ahead of where I'm at. You are a bigger man than me to do that today. Not important what it was. It's just, again, one of those tough decisions where it's much easier to go into door number one, where you don't have to face that person that you said something bad about, or that you were embarrassed about, or weren't in your clear head. Much easier to avoid those doors. But if you have nerves about it or are uncomfortable, likely that's the door we need to go through. Likely that's where the healing is going to happen. Facing fears is the journey towards evolution. When I need to give a speech in front of 100 people, I may be terrified leading up to it. In fact, I withdrew from my communications class. I told my flatmate this, I think, here I'm about to switch places, when I was 18, not because of any other reason than I was terrified to speak in public. And then I took the same course again 4 years later, knew that if I ate some eggs and a little bit of food, slept good the night before, then I could get through it. And I got through speech, communications 101 or whatever it's called, and got an A instead of withdrawing or failing. Because after the 2 speeches that I didn't remember, I just quit going. I was terrified as an 18-year-old. I did not know who I was yet. I had a long way to go. I got a long way to go. We go till the end. Now I love to speak in public. If it's something I know what I'm speaking about, if it's from the heart, I guess. point is, facing fears continues to help us grow. And now I want to get to, I've had a lot of video blogs I haven't shared either. There's been so many things happening at once. And I want to say that to this person and to anybody that what this song means to me, and why I'm not triggered from the fact that it's a typical, I think, but I don't even know, Christian type artist. I actually got emotional by hearing it because it was so, I have goosebumps actually right now, all over my body. Because to me it doesn't matter whether it's a Tibetan circle that is a hipper thing to experience, or this Christian singer with the words, "I'm not alone." I used to laugh at that or think it's cliche, but when I'm in the light, when I'm in a state of purity and love and kindness and passion, then it doesn't matter that song or the Tibetan circles, or it affects. So I just took the good. I think when you're in the place of light, of, not to sound cliche, love and light, you take the good and you leave the bad, because there's always bad. I also want to tap on something really quick, because I had 6,000 words today. One that I've really been thinking about lately is Pema Chodron talking about negative negativism. We can never take negatives out of our life. I can never get through life without somebody hurting me, lying to me, betraying to me, without somebody dying of cancer, likely, losing a job, right? We cannot get through life without negative, tough circumstances. Where the evolution comes and where the change comes from never turning a negative that can lead to intelligence by growing through it and learning a negative to a negative. It was what led her into being a monk. She hated her ex-husband so much because he had a long-standing affair and left her, I think, for the other woman. Wanted to burn her house down. Pema Chodron, the famous monk, had real thoughts about this, right? We can all relate to that. Anger from hurt, from fear of losing something we love, or feeling betrayed. But as she read from her mentor, by attaching negative to a negative, it breeds something quite dangerous. And that's where envy and greed and resentment and gossip and jealousy, these are things attached to taking a negative. Did you hear that, gossip is one example. Envy, yeah, all of those words that were in what I read today, the article, would be hearing something bad, but then turning it bad, like spreading the bad, or feeding the bad, or turning something against something, and I believe that Gandhi is right, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. If somebody's done me wrong and I do them wrong to get back, I think I'm just as guilty, even if what they did was horrible. And I've done that, so I have to sort of own a lot of that. I think Gandhi was the one that's right, not an eye for an eye, not an eye for an eye, but an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. The real enlightenment to me is standing in front of the person that triggers me the most. I think for me right now is still my soulmate. For now, that's the person that's who I learn the most from, and I continue, I think, to grow. It's my perception of this. But now getting back to the, I just wanted to touch on that negative. It's been something I wrote a lot about today, and I continue to learn about my own behavior and how I would take a negative. Maybe it's Donald Trump. Maybe it's a friend supporting Donald Trump. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's somebody that has wronged me. If I try to wrong them back, or in any way affect the universe and attach a negative to what they did, then I've got a ways to go. We've all got a ways to go. But for her, it was the most profound part of a shift. To see that the simple negatives are actually a beautiful part of life. We will be betrayed. We will be lied to. We will be stood up. But what we do with that is the crux of life. That's the evolution. I think it's powerful. So I know I'm not alone today. I have nothing to stand on. I've left by my own accord, by faith in something greater than myself, and a belief that I was doing the right thing. I've lost what gave me security, and it was this false set of security. My language, my culture, a job, a company, the pride that comes with that. And because it had been built into something special. But I was empty. I look back at my Facebook memories feed, which, if you know, on this day, everything from February 1st forward was hollow, and I was pretending. I was trying desperately to be happy, but I wasn't. Because I left behind the things that mattered the most to me. Really obvious to me today. As I glance back at it just as a learning tool. And then in the years prior to that, I see a lot of love. So for me, I'm not alone means that, especially in this phase of my life right now where I stand, where everything that I wanted, if I could just make it happen as a fixer, as a guy that's pretty good at A to Z. I'm pretty good at A to Z when I put my mind to something, if there's passion. Okay, do we want to do that? How do we get there? And fast. When all of those kind of parameters are gone, and you kind of dissolve all that, my lens is in 16 minutes, I'm over 20, trying to touch on negative, I'm not alone, and stability about life. I'm going to really blown away. I've done several, I just not uploaded them. I believe in the Force. I believe in good and evil. I believe that those are within ourselves. I believe there's a light that connects us to all. I believe that my good and my bad affects me individually on a karmic level, but I believe that we are all, as the natives say, part of a web. I call it the web. So what you do impacts me. Your healing affects me. Your courage inspires me. Your stumbles humble me and remind me that I've stumbled, and I hopefully remind you that you can get back up. I know I'm not alone. It's part of understanding that there's something that binds us all together. I've had spiritual experiences, metaphysical experiences, and I have a connection with something. It's not a God per se. It's not a God per se, but it's something. I call it Source, the Universe, or the Force. And sometimes I love what Jason Mraz says. He calls it the Great Unknown. I saw this meme the other day that I thought was profound. It was a recovery meme. That is, some call it spirit, some call it mystical, some call it mojo, or karma. It is essentially saying, it doesn't matter what the fuck we call it. We all believe in it, something. Some just call it mojo. Hey, my mojo's working today. Or my vibration, or light, or energy. Man, I got a good, and I think we all sense that. But the word God has a connotation that's negative to many of us. I've had to work through that. That's why that song, I'm Not Alone, that version, I had to work through my own resentments, fundamental Christianity, modern day this. But the more that I let go of those resentments, the more that I just see the goodness in that song. Beautiful lyrics. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know I'm not alone, and it gets me. It's always gotten me through the toughest days. What I've wanted the most, and what I want the most, is to be a father, and to be part of this planet, part of the family, part of society, and to be able to give it back. I think it's really important to go through phases alone. I shared a quote today with somebody that means a lot to me, about somebody that had gone through, it was a book quote, but it was essentially after a year apart, so a year alone, what that time had meant for them. For me, those times alone into the wild and when I'm in nature, it's connecting deeply to the good, to the force. If you've seen the new Star Wars, when she closes her eyes and suddenly believes again, I feel it. How does it tell me? Well, the hair that's standing up on my neck again. My eyes start to glow a bit. They light up. There's something in us that changes. And it's good. It's a good thing. For me right now to know that I'm sort of taken care of by the cosmos, not somebody wiping my butt. Nobody's wiping my butt today at all. I don't think they should. That's a metaphor. I think this time alone reminds us we're not alone. At least for me. Thank you for sharing that song. I believe there's a force guiding us and connecting us. I've had so many synchronicities and powerful things happen since August 27th, I can't even begin to explain. I know that it's never about the destination, but it's always going to be about the journey. I know that I've fucked up a lot of my life, and I know that I've done a lot of good. I believe in what's called seed planting. I believe in the power of forgiving for myself and for others. I know that I've torn down bridges, and I prefer to build them back. I know I am not alone today. I'm so grateful to be on a path that is laid out in a way where I cannot shift blame on anything to myself. And if I start to, I have somewhere to check that and get reminded that the only thing that I can change is me. I can soften my reactions. I can learn to still feel envy, jealousy, anger, but to not project it on the person that made me feel that way. That happened tonight. So I call my mentor and say, this happened, and I want to write this, What does it mean about me? Where am I at in this journey? Because I know if somebody's irritating me, it's something about me. What have I done to create that? Did I do something? Likely at some point. Okay. What can I do today about it? When we wake up and you'll try to be a little better shape tomorrow. So without sounding really cliche, because this is the kind of shit that I would really frown upon before. I'd get into my strong science mind and sort of get against the spiritualness. I know when I'm at my best that I don't judge the Christian, Buddhist, atheist with a good moral conscience that just chooses not to see God as that word. I don't even like the word, honestly. I follow Buddhist the closest, but I really just follow some simple precepts that are a way to live life that makes sense to me, where I have to own things. I'm never going to be perfect. I try to make my wrongs right. I try to look at all the people that are bugging the hell out of me and see what in me is driving that, and continue to, through meditation and prayer practice, see those things dissolve slowly. They'll never go away fully, but when we know they're there, okay, I trigger to this, I'm sensitive to this. That awareness, as Pema Chodron talks about, is the first major step. And then eventually, you actually completely start to soften those reactions, and change is a very slow. Good changes are quite slow, but the biggest shift comes in the awareness of I have issues with my reactions, or I could be angry about this, or jealousy, or I have this. That's the first. It's like anything. You can't create a good business without knowing its flaws first, right? Where are we weak so that we can be strong? That's what this journey is about, is knowing you're dark and you're weak so that you can lean into the strengths and the light. You're not alone. It sounds so cliche and cheesy, and I don't give a shit, I try to inspire people that are sharing their stories or being vulnerable, and it's hard when you feel you've got some haters out there, but I'd love for you to be far enough along the journey to keep sharing these. And I don't need many nudges, just like the one I got tonight. People sometimes quit commenting on your stuff. I'm in a situation where most of my, at least the Facebook world, which is a tiny fraction of the world, or even the people following our blog site, observing. And that's nice, because sometimes you forget, and you need to know that you're not alone. And sometimes it's really cool when you do get 1 or 2 affirmations. We all need that, and we're not alone. We're in this together. Thank you, and see you on the other side. I am praying for winning my appeal, and if not, I'm going to keep going. I've not said a lot about all of that. Just trying to manifest positivity, and this is the 5th time that I've consciously gone back and forth between Europe and the United States. It has to be my last, so I am trying to root myself in here, and I believe in love, and I trust the process, and I understand that fear is the root of my problems and the problems in society today. And the only way that I can overcome it is by facing my own fears and eroding those illusions, getting to the truth. And it's a slow and beautiful process. Thank God I'm not alone. Peace.